Hey guys, what is happening and welcome to this video. I'm coming at you here from England, and today we're going to be talking about many different things that I've noticed since I've arrived here in England. And I'm a couple of days into my trip, so my memory is kind of fresh. What has shocked me, what hasn't shocked me, what's it really like here. So it's currently about 15 degrees though, so it's pretty warm. The leaves are actually just starting to come on the trees, and I don't know if you can see down there, but the blossom is all coming on the trees. And this is all apple orchard that is behind me here that they make cider in. So without further ado guys, let's do this. Alright guys, welcome back. So it is a perfect time to visit England in my opinion. Here in March, April time is the best time to come here. The leaves start coming back on the trees and it's really beautiful weather. So anyway, what have I noticed since coming back here? This is my hometown that's behind me. That's Malvern, which is where I'm from here in Worcestershire. And you can actually see over in the distance there, that's like the Vale of Worcestershire and Evesham. So anyway guys, what I want to talk about is basically what I've noticed since coming back here is there is closed shops and commercial real estate that is just totally empty, exactly like Canada and exactly like the United States. The thing is though guys, the way things are here in Europe, in European countries, is there's usually like a center in towns and cities, and there's basically a high street which has all your shopping malls on and everything like that. And I've noticed that like the one in my local city of Worcester is completely and utterly decimated. Most of the shops have gone. So many pubs have gone. Obviously the pubs and the gyms were affected massively by the lockdowns that happened here in England, and it's just really kind of put things into perspective. Now, the same mad FOMO rush into housing is happening right here in England as it is in Canada and the United States, but there's a little bit of a different story to that. And it's always interesting guys, even though we talk about Canada and the United States a lot on this channel, it's always good to get other perspectives. We also talk about New Zealand a lot on this channel. And I definitely think that the UK is further back in terms of the cycle than even Canada. And like New Zealand's really leading the front. And now I think it's going to be Canada and the United States. And then you're going to see the fall and the collapses of places like here in the UK and certain places and markets across Europe. The thing is, the cost of a house here is absolutely just exploded, not in the terms that Canada has, but in the terms relative to housing prices and how they performed over the past 12-14 years since the recession of 2008, which heavily impacted the real estate market here. And prices have pretty much been stagnant ever since then. They dropped obviously down about 30-40% in 2008 in certain markets, and then they recovered, and they haven't really gone up across those 2008 peaks until now, that is. And this is a similar dynamic to Calgary. Apart from Calgary and Edmonton, they didn't have those drops of 30-40%, but don't you worry about that, because that is going to be coming. The thing is guys, what's really interesting is people just seem like accustomed, like it's become normalized now to spend such a ridiculous amount of money on something that you might possibly never own. Is in the case here in England, some of the schemes that the government has put in place, and they've tried the same schemes in Canada and they haven't really had as much success as they've had here in the UK. But those schemes, you never own the property. They're a total rip-off scheme. And there talks about actually in Hilliard Macbeth's book hit on the Canadian real estate crash, and you should check that out. I'll link it below, and I'm no way affiliated with Hilliard, but I definitely want him to come on this channel because I think he would be an awesome guest, and he's actually agreed to it. We just got to set up that time when I get back. So the thing is, guys, like when it comes to paying these abnormally high prices for housing, you've really got to ask yourself like a couple of questions, like how much are people earning? Has that changed very much? And what are they bringing to the table? Like what's their household income? What's their outgoings? And then you can kind of calculate how much they're having to spend on housing and everything like that. But one thing that's really become apparent here in England since I've arrived is the for let signs that are everywhere. There are obviously a lot of residential landlords right now who are trying to jump into the real estate market. Again, that's that sort of end cycle stuff. When it becomes a crowded space to invest, that's generally a bad sign that you shouldn't be there. And that's exactly what you've got here in the UK. There's a lot of private landlords that are trying to take advantage right now of the high rents and everything like that. And they probably think best investment they've ever made. But the same thing is happening with yields on the gilts here in England. And it's basically called gilts, but they're government bonds or treasuries like in the United States. So the gilts are at lower levels than they are in Canada and the United States, but they've started to explode over the past couple of weeks. And obviously inflation is running rampant here in England. It is very, very high. And here, April 1st, we're actually filming on the 2nd, they had the basic reset of the government caps on natural gas and energy costs. So basically everybody has been sending in their meter readings for the gas so the gas companies can get an accurate reading on what they're using. In most cases, from what I've heard from different people and friends and family, it's going up 50%. And a lot of people are having their energy bill double, like literally double. So if you're paying £150 a month for gas, you're now going to be paying £300 a month for gas. So it is totally just made inflation even worse, and these are things that people need. The necessities of life are really food, energy and shelter, and all those things have just been decimated throughout this. Now, I really don't see food prices ever coming down. Energy prices, maybe in a sort of financial crisis / collapse, you could have energy prices collapse, but I reckon that would be very short-lived and they would rebound pretty quickly. But nevertheless, you never know, because during a recession, generally people are using less energy and things like that. But it's a real big problem, guys, that is happening right now here in England. So a lot of people are talking about that, and that's really what a lot of friends and family have been talking about here in England, is the energy prices. I know so many people who are my age that have bought into the real estate market over the past 2 years. And that's a worrying indicator to me that it is too many people and too much of that herd mentality. The thing is, the type of markets and investments that I like to make are the ones that are in the shadows, like I've discussed in other videos. If they're in the shadows, then generally that's a good thing. And generally, I don't even like to discuss the investment opportunities that I'm tabling openly. But this YouTube channel has been a new thing, and I've kind of realized that even whatever investments that I make, people aren't going to make those same investments. But still, to a certain degree, I refrain from telling people a lot of the time, because I'm like, I don't want loads of people going to buy that investment, because that's the whole point. Like, that's your edge, and you don't want to give away your edge to everybody else. But really, what I realized throughout learning psychology is it's really not so much the investment, it's all about the psychology. And if people invest in something because they just believe it's going up in price and they have no fundamental investment into that product or into that thing that's going to generate a return on investment, then really that creates a big problem, because in bad times, they really don't have a clue what they're going to do. So it creates a big problem, and you definitely see that in financial markets all the time. People buy a stock because it's going up in price, and they're expecting it to continue going up in price because that's the recency bias. Same with real estate. People are buying real estate, they think it's gone up for the past 20 years, so it will continue going up indefinitely. And then when it starts to turn and they start to bite their nails a bit more and they start to think, hang on a second, could this actually go down? And then it still carries on going down, and it's still going down. And then you basically realize, it clicks in that person's head, hang on a second, this has been going down for a while now, we could actually lose a lot of money. All right, guys, you know, it's really funny. I was filming back there just down the hill a little bit, and there was about 4 or 5 cyclists that came along, and they just stopped and stared at me whilst I was filming. And you know, I don't mind filming around people and everything like that, but it's a little bit strange when you have people just stare at you. It's like people have never seen somebody with a camera here in England. Like, it's really bizarre the way people react to people filming like this. Like, if you're in a tourist place or you're out in Calgary, nobody thinks anything of it. The same if you're in Mexico, the same if you're in the United States. Nobody's really bothered, like, it's pretty much normal. But here, anybody with a camera, they're like, what is that guy doing? But anyway, it's really interesting. But as you can see, guys, the leaves right here, just starting, the buds or whatever, are just starting to open. But anyway, guys, I hope you really got something from this video. I know it was kind of a little bit of a strange one, but I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to make many more videos here in England to show you what's going on here. As I said, it's always incredibly important, in my opinion, to actually see different countries and what's happening, because if we all know something from 2008, it's that back then that was happening in many other different countries. It wasn't just the United States, and England was greatly affected by it too. And certain countries like New Zealand and Canada were not affected. But anyway, we've discussed about that and why they didn't crash in many different videos. And if you haven't seen them, then go back, I'll link them below, and watch those videos, because we've gone into many different details on that. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please go down below, hit the subscribe button, and while you're there, make sure your notifications are turned on so you can get notified when we go live on this channel and do live streams. There's great information, it's very interactive. If you want to join us for that, that's great. If you don't, that's also up to you. That's your freedom of choice. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.